Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tori if you're new here, and today it is a windy and crooked day. And it's going to be one of those kinds of days, but we're going to work through this. I think it's so beautiful out, so I'm going to do this video outside, and it is a chit chat video. So for those of you that don't like me talking for a long time, maybe this isn't your video, but we're going to cover a few topics, and I figured I'd sit down and do it all in one. So cheers to you. Hopefully this wind will die down a bit, but I am drinking the Rowdy Mermaid Adaptogen Tonic, and I put a scoop of the Amari Edge in here, so that helps with mood, motivation, and metabolism. I can link that. That can be part of the pack that I always recommend. You can just buy it as a singular product, which is pretty awesome. Again, if you have any questions about this company and or any of the supplements, let me know, because they do some extensive testing. They source quality ingredients, and they have a lot on their market there that can help you with a variety of things. Well, the wind was going real loud there for a little bit, and then someone came to get our chickens and ducks, so we got a little bit emotional there. If you know me, you know that I'm pretty empathetic. So saying goodbye to them was hard, but then seeing the kids get upset made me, you know, even more upset. So it's a good thing. You know, we are moving across the country if you're new here, and we just simply can't take them. Hauling 3 children, our entire existence, 2 cars, and our belongings for 28 hours is extremely difficult as is, and then adding on a trailer of birds that may not make it will make it a little trickier. So we were very fortunate to find them a home that loves birds probably more than I do. They have acres and acres to run around on, and a pond for the ducks, and it's just amazing. She's a very kind woman, and she assured us that they would be just fine, and she's going to send us photos and videos, so we will be okay. But back into it, I just went ahead and wrote everything down, and you know I'm not that organized, so I must mean business. And the topics of discussion: inflation with an exclamation point. We have prepping in different states. That's a question that's been asked a few times, and I figured I would address it, and we'll get into what that is. A giveaway, because we've hit 20K subscribers, which is incredible. I've been doing this for 6 years. I really never thought that it would happen, but I am just so fortunate for each and every one of you that are a positive support to this channel, and I just want to give back. And honestly, I don't have much to give, but I'm going to give away a few of my favorite things, so I hope that's exciting. And then a new video style, just one, not all of them, but we'll get through it. So inflation, I'm not one to say I told you so, and I know a lot of you are right on the same page as me, but when I first started making preparedness videos back in 2020, I did a little bit in 2019, but 2020 was a big one because those videos started getting pushed out, and I have my ideas as to why that is, but you know, it's created a conversation, sometimes a hard conversation. You know, I got a lot of negativity in the beginning saying that this is silly, and I mean, I got called a slew of names, as I'm sure some of you did too, about collecting food and our reasoning behind it. And I never ever want anyone to think that collecting food or preparing for the unknown is something that should be this like counterculture thing, but unfortunately it is. And I have been seeing lately so many videos about people comparing their grocery bill from 2020 until now, and they see that inflated price, they don't understand, and that is where I could say I told you so, but I'm not going to, because that's just not, I don't know, that's not my personality. But part of preparedness, you can prepare for the unknown, but you can also prepare for that inflated price. So when we talk about food shortages, when we used to talk about it, I wasn't that confident because I knew in my heart that I was seeing it, but I wasn't sure if I should have been spreading the message because I didn't want to instill fear. And now I know, with 20,000 people that share similar views to me, that, you know, there was no reason for me to think that it's a scary thing to spread. Honestly, if you are aware and up to date with what's going on in this world, it would be silly not to have an extra can of food in the event of an emergency. A lot of people throw out their predicted food shortages, but for me, I think it was a planned situation. We have so much food out there available to us, but it's not getting to us, and a lot of people have their reasons as to why that's happening, and I do too. I've talked about it in so many videos, so go ahead and check out my emergency preparedness playlist if you're new here. But food shortages also bring inflated costs. So that was my goal with those videos back in 2020, to stock up on foods that have a long shelf life, not necessarily indefinitely, but a lot of those things did. So rice, beans, canned foods, freeze-dried foods, ways to grow your own food and then preserve your own food, ways to cure your own food, and the list goes on. You know, that's just food. There are so many other elements of preparedness, and it definitely comes down to that individual, but there's a few items that I think that everyone should be prepared for, and I just did a video on this. I will link it. I think it was a pretty good video, and it just kind of covered 10 basic things that someone can just have on hand in the event of an emergency, because why not? I feel like becoming a mother of 3 just really got my head in the game when it came to preparedness. And I was raised in rural Pennsylvania, so we didn't really have too many natural disasters, but my dad is an avid outdoorsman. So these items that I share with you to live off the grid really just was instilled in me at an early age. You know, we would camp all the time, and I know camping is probably not what we're thinking of when it comes to any sort of apocalyptic events. But when I talk about preparedness, it is usually for the day-to-day preparedness. If your power goes out, if you go a month or 2 without a paycheck, that's happened to us. If you experience extreme sickness or a loss, these things will help you. I promise you that. Preparing for the unexpected shouldn't be this crazy thing, and we talk about that quite a bit on the channel. You can do it on a budget, and you can do it in a way that works for you and your family. So that's my challenge to you. If you're still on the fence about preparedness, go ahead and check your receipts from 2020 until now, and then tell me why it would be silly or crazy to stock up on food that's at a lesser price so you don't have to pay for it more in the future. And I'm happy we did that, because I'm living off a lot of the staples that we have had prepared in Mylar and glass jars. We have canned food. We have even froze food that we've eaten, 3 years after, and we're still alive to tell the tale. And then another question that has been asked recently is, what would preparedness look like in a different state? So we are moving from Colorado to Pennsylvania. Luckily, we've lived there before, so we kind of get the gist as to what's going on with the climate in a variety of ways, if that makes sense. So I thought it would be fun if some of you would maybe drop your state, or if you're uncomfortable with that, drop your region and tell us what you would prepare for. I can only speak to Colorado and Pennsylvania. So Colorado, I've been doing preparedness with for the last 4 years, so I'm going to speak on Pennsylvania. And 4 zones in gardening, same zone, believe it or not. So there's a lot that has to be factored into your garden if you're growing food, if you're approaching preparedness in that way. And Pennsylvania has a lot more humidity and precipitation, so it's not very common to be watering your garden 3 times a day like I do out here. So luckily we won't really have to worry about that. But something similar that I will definitely be bringing into that journey is filters. So filters for all of our water systems. I think that's super important. If we are lucky enough to find a property that we have access to water with, then I think we will be at an advantage. But there's a few things I want to talk about with that. If you have access to a natural spring, that is the best water, and you can find yours at findaspring.com. I always have that linked in the description box. But if you don't, then go ahead and find some way to filter your water. I've been reading more and more about reverse osmosis systems, and I don't have one, but I know some of you do, and I've actually been reading into some of the negative side effects that come along with that. And I'm not well versed yet, so I'm not going to speak on it, but I encourage you to do some research when it comes to your reverse osmosis system. I guarantee you there are some out on the market there that are a little cheaper, but it just filters out your bad heavy metals and any other, chemicals or bacteria that you don't want in your water. It doesn't have to be a reverse osmosis system, but there are a lot on the market. So when it comes to preparedness in PA, water is going to be pretty similar to Colorado, but in Pennsylvania, we have access to a lot more. Another thing that crossed my mind when it comes to Pennsylvania is different natural disasters. I came from a town that perpetually floods all the time. It's always flooded, I feel like. And recently, within the last 10 years or so, a flood wall was put up. And I did have to call my dad and just fact check on this, but it hasn't been put to the test yet. So we are lucky to have that in town. And before my husband and I left for Colorado, we experienced a pretty significant flood. And he is not from my hometown. He is from closer to one of the cities in Pennsylvania. So he didn't really experience this, but you know, it shut down the whole town until FEMA came in and started giving out water and food. And that kind of food and water was rationed. You know, you can only get a little bit for each family, which makes sense, but it did take 72 hours for them to get there. So if you look on the FEMA site, you do see that 72 hours is what you should be prepared for when it comes to food, water, shelter, all of those general preparedness items. So floods, they can happen quick, they can happen fast if you're not prepared for it. My dad, in his job, which is a little unique, he has learned how to gauge the water levels, where they will crest, what you do in that situation. And I'm lucky to have that knowledge. But I really think that people should read up on some natural disasters that may happen in their area. Honestly, there was a tornado in my hometown last week, and that has never happened. I mean, it hasn't happened in a long time. So we experience a wide variety of natural disasters, but I know in the South, you experience some really heavy weather. So that is something to look into, maybe some sort of shelter, a way to protect yourself in the event of one of those catastrophic events. And the list goes on, you know, so that's why I kind of want to hear from some in the South and some in the North. And even if you're from a different country, I'd love to know what it looks like for disaster preparedness. And then the other thing that I was thinking about is certain disease. You all know that I like to help with our medical issues pretty herbally, pretty naturally. I have gone to a doctor before in my life, so yeah, I'm not perfect, but we try and grow our medicine, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. A lot of people have qualms with that, but to each their own. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to, but I do, and we are healthy, and I honestly can't speak more to it because I've seen it happen in real life. I've seen these natural remedies heal myself and my children. And if that doesn't say anything, I don't know what does. I feel like experience is so much more important than some fancy degree or some guru on the internet telling you to buy their course. But I digress. Going into some medical issues in Pennsylvania, we have a high population of ticks, and we all know with ticks can come some pretty bad neurological diseases, some big autoimmune issues, and that list goes on. So I encourage people to find different detox herbs to have on hand, and of course different kinds of antibiotics if you're going to go that route. But there are a lot of natural remedies out there. If you have any questions on that, I am an open book, and I talk pretty confidently about moving from the pharmaceutical industry into a more herbal way of life. So again, if you have questions, I will put them in the comments, but some platforms have been known to remove some of those comments. So if you really would like to talk to me truly, you can just email me at mountainmommaliving@gmail.com. Seeds are relatively inexpensive to just have on hand, but my seeds that are non-GMO, herbal, awesome seeds are always linked in the description box. They're under $50. I always suggest getting 1 or 2 packs of those just to have in the event of an emergency. You never know what's going to happen. But of course, shop around. If you can find something cheaper, go ahead and go that route. With these seeds, you do get a medicinal book with recipes on what to do with those plants. So a lot more than I can tell you in one video. I think it would be really beneficial for you to have something like that in your arsenal. Another thing that my husband and I were talking about was different laws on land, laws on firearms, laws on what you can do in the event of an emergency. Because sometimes you can't do a lot, you know, and it depends on what town you're in. So I encourage everyone to look into maps and different roadways if you don't know the area, just in case you need to leave. Honestly, in Colorado, they've been getting way over the top with some laws, and you know, that's part of the reason that we are leaving. We need to live a more free life, and yeah, Pennsylvania does have its issues, but we will be closer to family, we will be closer to security and safety, and that is what's important to my family. So I encourage you to, my door shut, I encourage you to look into those laws, what you can do to defend yourself, what you can do to defend yourself and your family. And as always, brush up on those skills, whether it be going to the range and practicing or just having some land to practice on. Fingers crossed that happens for us, or maybe taking a course together. It could be a fun date night or something like that. You know, I am not an expert level. My husband, yes, but it's something that I hold near and dear to my heart as a mother and as a woman. It's your right to defend yourself, and I think it's really important to start talking about that with people. I'll be the first one to admit it was very scary to me, you know, 10 years prior to this. this, and I grew up around ways to defend yourself. And I was still afraid a while back to be able to do that, but now that I'm a mother, that is my job, to protect my family. Another thing that I was thinking about is where you're living. If you're in a city, you may be needing to defend yourself from people. When you're in the rural country, I suggest maybe looking into the wildlife and what could threaten your family. The camera got so hot it shut down, so I'm going to try and wrap this up. I'm sure I was forgetting something in that lineup, but again, wherever you're from, let us know some things that you might stock up on that are a little unique. You never know who's reading the comments. I always find that this community has so many valuable opinions. Honestly, I'm not like bragging about us or anything, but sometimes I look at the comments on other people's videos and it's nonsense, and I don't know. I love our community. I think we are all very valuable individuals. So if you've ever thought about starting a channel, you really should, because I feel like everybody has this knowledge and they can share it with others. Or perhaps you don't really want to turn your passion into this kind of community. It's just a thought. Next on the list was going to be giveaway, but I'm going to save that for last. I wanted to try something a little different. I wanted to try a style of video that I have been seeing from other people. During the weekend, I made a post and I don't regret it. I'm not going to take it back. It's how I was feeling in the moment, but I have been seriously contemplating turning off comments, and it's been really on my mind lately. It would take a lot off of my plate, but I am holding myself back from doing that because I truly enjoy talking to a lot of you, and some of you only talk to me through this platform, meaning you don't have social media. You always have access to my email, but I would be cutting off contact with some of you, and I really value our connection. So I'm going to hold off on that. I know a lot of you understand if I were to turn off the comments, but the only way to filter out the negative Nancy's is to put like a paid subscription. I don't know how it works. It's not something I seriously am considering, but that is YouTube's only way of doing it, is my understanding. So I think you would pay monthly like 99 cents or something. That way you could only comment and new people couldn't, and I don't like that. You know, I'm all about the budget, but I do understand why creators do that. So no hate or shade to anybody, but I don't think I can do that. I really don't, because I myself wouldn't be able to afford that. So I'm not going to do it, but it's just been something that's been on my mind. But in an effort to create more content, and more content that's unique, because I have been told my entire social media career to niche down, and that has been the hardest thing, especially with the kind of brain that I have. I've spoke about it before, but I have many hobbies. I do different things every day, and I do that to save myself and my sanity. I wouldn't be able to do some of the same routines and some of the same hobbies. You know, I get really into something, I learn as much as I can about that thing, and then, you know, I put it on the back burner sometimes. And luckily I met my husband, who kind of has a similar brain to that, so we have a variety of things in our household. Our days look so different, and it just works for us. So I can't niche down, and I feel like they're doing that for a reason. They want to just kind of create this divide within ourselves, you know, divide within the divide, and I don't want to contribute to that. I feel like we're all multifaceted humans, and there's parts of me that I don't share with all of you, and I love that. But, you know, there are other things that I do and other passions I have. So I've seen other creators do this where it's just music, or maybe a little bit of chit chat, or some sort of literature they're reading. It could be anything. And then they're doing another task. So because I went to school for studio art, my master's is in art and education, I thought maybe it could be fun to share some of that side of me, because I am creating most of the time. Cooking is creating to me, making videos is creating to me, overall being a mom is creating to me, but I also like to do little side projects. So I thought it would be fun to show you a little bit of my printmaking side. That was my focus in college, and show you how I do that. So I wanted to make a print with you, draw it out, carve it out, or etch it, whatever thing I'm doing that day, and then running it through the press with some homemade ink, and maybe we'll put on some music to that and then go from there. I really like making cyanotypes with the kids. That's a photography alternative process, so we could do that. I'm not really good at painting, but would love to get better, so it could just be me and my easel. It could be me sketching. It could be you telling me, hey, I want to make this, but I don't know how, and we could make it together. I thought that would be fun, and I could leave as much information as I need in the description box, but it wouldn't be a lot of me talking. It would just be a lot of creating. So let me know how you feel about that. Again, I know it kind of goes against the policy of niching down, and maybe my content won't be pushed out, but I learned a long time ago that this platform is not that for me. It's about the connection. That's why I keep coming back. It has been the most consistent hobby of mine that I have done. I have stuck with this, and you know, at the end of the day, used to think that I wasn't getting a lot in return, but reflecting over these past few years, I'm now understanding that the connection is my return. So let me know how you feel about that. And in the effort to keep this short but sweet, let's talk about a giveaway. I thought it would be fun to choose a comment from this video that is valuable. I personally am not going to choose it. I'm gonna let one of those apps do it that randomly choose, because if I were to choose one, I'd choose all of you, all of your positive support over the years. So I'm gonna have to do a random one, but in the giveaway, what you will win, which is what some of you are here for, I thought I'd give away some of my garden seeds that I've been saving. I also thought I would give away some of the supplements that I talk about a lot. I have quite a bit on hand, but I would love to gift some of you some of my happy juice that I talk about a lot, some of my favorite electrolytes, and maybe a few other things, and just send you a package from me to you to say thank you and to tell you how much I truly value this connection that I keep talking about. So if you're interested in entering the giveaway, just drop a comment, any comment, as long as it's positive. I will go through them to make sure they're positive before we go ahead and select a random winner. Whoever is selected, that person will let me know by emailing me at mountainmommaliving@gmail.com. I have done this before, and I've had my fair share of scammers problems, so I have a way to do this in the correct way. So never fear if you're really nervous about giving away your email. I apologize, this might just not be for you, but don't drop it in the comments. You'll have to email me. I will announce the handle or the name in a week's time. So in 1 week, I will let you know who won, but I think I'm going to wrap it up here. The heat is getting to me. It's 103 today, and the kids are a little upset about those birds, so I'm gonna go in there and make them some cookies or something, and we're gonna have a pretty relaxing day. I hope you are well wherever you are in the world. Let me know how you're feeling about all that we chatted about today. As always, stay adventurous, stay creative. I'll catch you on the flip. Bye.
Wish that I could stay. Wish for this moment to never go away. But it's all